A neighborhood in shock.
It's a tragedy. It's pretty bad. I used to babysit for them years ago. I watched those kids grow up.
A shooting rampage leaves 8 dead, including the gunman, in a quiet Summit County community.
We actually have 4 different scenes that were processed.
Tonight we gather new information at the house where it all began, trying to piece together what sparked this horrific crime as people shed tears and pray for the victims.
The Lord walked behind you to protect you.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. In a small community where everyone knows each other, there will be tears for days. Shots rang out about 11 o'clock this morning near Shockalog Road and Goodenough Avenue in Copley Township. Tonight we know an 11-year-old child is among the victims, and the gunman died in a shootout with police. We have live team coverage tonight. Troubleshooter Joe Paganakis is following new leads, but we begin with News Channel 5's Dan Haggerty, who has the very latest on this information. And Dan, it has been a very tough day and a very hard evening for folks there.
Yeah, Tracy, think about it this way. This is a small community, an even smaller neighborhood. It was 12 hours ago, and there was a man literally running through the streets with a gun, chasing people and shooting and killing them in front of their homes. There are 4 separate crime scenes inside of this neighborhood. We're learning a lot more from police about how all of this is tying together, but we're also learning a lot more about the victims from a vigil earlier tonight. The vigil answered a few questions about the victims.
Her and I have been best friends since 4th grade.
Friends of 17-year-old Autumn Johnson, a Copley High School student, were scattered in the crowd of more than 100.
Her grandparents were like mine. And it's going to be hard losing her.
Also lost, Autumn's grandparents, Russ and Gertie Johnson, their son Brian, and 11-year-old Scotty Dieter visiting from Kentucky, all among 8 dead.
Why? What? I don't know. You're hearing so many stories from everywhere, and who knows what the truth. Will we ever find the truth? Probably not. Probably not.
Police were called to Goodenough Road in Copley around 11 a.m. for shots fired. They found multiple people shot and 7 dead before killing the gunman in a shootout, a series of events that no one here can seem to connect.
I just want peace for the family, really. I don't need to understand why or anything.
How could this happen to such a great family? And I don't know.
And you heard the one woman say there are a lot of stories out there, a lot of people in the community saying a lot of different things. There were a lot of witnesses to this. Police still putting the pieces together. We're still learning more about the victims, and everyone's hoping to hear more about a motive. Reporting live tonight in Copley, Dan Haggerty, News Channel 5.
Dan, when do we expect to hear more from police? Do you know?
Well, we've been hearing some more information throughout the night. Joe Paganakis, about to come up next, has a little bit more about the connection between the series of events and how this all went down. But we know that there is a news conference tomorrow at noon when police are going to hopefully fill in a lot of the blanks on this.
All right, Dan Haggerty reporting for us tonight live. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Tracy.
Well, 5 different agencies are investigating tonight, including Copley Police, Akron Police, the Summit County Sheriff's Department, and the Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation. Now, several roads in Copley Township will remain closed overnight while investigators collect evidence. There are at least 4 different locations connected to this shooting rampage. Goodenough Avenue is closed at Shockalog Road. Petula Avenue and Copley Roads are both closed at Shockalog Road as well. Well, tonight, neighbors are wondering how something like this could possibly happen in their usually quiet Copley Township neighborhood. Our live team coverage continues now tonight with troubleshooter Joe Paganakis. And Joe, what's the latest on the investigation?
Well, first of all, police tell us that this shooter, a boyfriend in this case, actually tracked down his victims. I'm going to show you some videotape of the house where it all got started shortly before 11 o'clock. First of all, police say that the shooter entered this home, shot his girlfriend, then went to a second house where 4 people were hiding from him. He shot and killed all 4 of those folks. Then, as he was making his way to a third home, he actually tracked down a bystander, shooting that person, then entering a third house where 2 others were hiding from him, and that's where he took his final victim. And then, of course, right after leaving the third house, police tracked him down, and that's when the shootout occurred and the shooter lost his life. Residents were hoping that somehow the anger that perpetuated this tragedy could have been directed elsewhere.
That hurts me so bad.
Patricia KERBY says her Copley Township neighborhood will never be the same, filled with flashing lights, police cars, and barricades all day and night. Her brother lives next door to this house where 8 were killed, 1 injured in a shooting rampage. She says her brother and nephew tried to help right after they heard the gunfire.
My nephew was being chased by the guy with the gun, and he tried to save a little boy that was killed right in front of my nephew's eyes.
Neighbor Willie Cook says a text message at noon informed him about the shooting. A 2001 graduate of Copley High School who says his alma mater has been devastated by the news.
There are other ways to deal with anger other than killing people. I mean, there's an 11-year-old girl there. What did she do to this dude? And then you got 2 17-year-old girls that went to Copley, which is the school I went to. What could they have done to this man that made him want to, chase them down and kill all of them?
Now, police confirm the shooting was sparked after an out-of-town guest came to visit this house on Goodenough Avenue. Tragically, a street that failed to live up to its name. Ironically, a street named by KERBY's grandfather decades ago.
He named all these streets.
So he named Goodenough.
That's good enough. That's what my grandfather always said, that's good enough.
Now again, Copley Township Police hope to have a news conference tomorrow at the Copley Community Center starting at noon. But of course, we'll have the latest long before that, starting with Good Morning Cleveland, coming up at 4:30 a.m. Reporting live from Copley, I'm troubleshooter Joe Paganakis.
Just a tough day all the way around, Joe, for all those folks down there.
Sure.
Thanks
Definitely.
very much. Well, there has been an outpouring of support for the victims of this deadly shooting rampage in Copley. You can post your condolences on our Facebook page. Meantime, the issue of guns is on the minds of many people tonight. Drew writes, it's a shame this had to happen and is another example as to why Ohio and America as a whole need stiffer gun control laws. But Dean says, leave our guns alone. A gun is the only thing that could save those people. Of course, stay with News Channel 5 at newsnet5.com for continuing coverage of the story. You can also find instant updates on our Facebook and our Twitter pages. Good Morning Cleveland will be live from the scene in Copley starting at 4:30 tomorrow morning.